So for this one, this is another one where the tutorial itself does work, but I really want to point out what the difference is from the previous adjustments that we made using levels versus curves. So we're going to do start tutorial, and it brings us up. You can kind of see it's a bit washed out. So we're going to go here into the adjustment, and we're going to choose curves this time. Curves, I think, are a little bit more advanced and create a little bit more of a subtle change between the darks, the midtones, and the lights. And it's usually my go-to instead of just straight levels. So you'll notice it has the same idea with the histogram here. And you can see there's a gap that's happening. So it's letting me know that there's not enough dark pixels in here. And over here, it takes a while for it to get to the light. So it's letting me know that there's some issues with the balance. So the difference is on instead of having the little multiple sliders underneath, little triangles, you've got this ramp, this little line that's happening here. So if I came up here and I drug this over to where those colors start, and I take this one and I drag this over, I've already created a little bit better balance between this. But one of the things that's really nice is I oftentimes will put in what's known as an S curve, a really subtle little like S along this line, because I think if you drag up, it lightens everything. If you drag down, it starts to darken things. I think the lights, because the light is showing up here and the light is showing here. So where that intersection is, it's basically saying, take any of these things here and make them just a little bit lighter. So I like to pop that up just a little bit. It pops the lights. Now it kind of popped them a little too much. So then what I'll do is I'll come down here and kind of get somewhere off to this edge right here and click once. So I'm adding these little anchor points in. And then I usually darken that just a little bit. So what this does is it creates this very like little S kind of look. It doesn't quite have the curls and stuff, but you can kind of imagine. I think popping the light pixels and darkening the dark pixels just a little bit on top of pulling those things inward will create a much better looking, richer image. Now there's certain areas that are a little bit dark and stuff in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reset this just like I did with the previous one. And let's follow their steps and see what's going on. So we'll hit start. And then we're going to come in and grab the curves adjustment layer. So that gives me this. And I hit on next. And so it's just explaining that we want to add more contrast to this. And there are some presets that are there, but I wanted to show you my method first because I think it gives you more control down the road on images that you have. So with this, it wants you to go up here towards the top where there's a preset. And you can go in and click on this and you can choose medium contrast. So you'll notice what it did is it actually added in some of those anchor points again, and it kind of pulled them around a little bit. But I still think that looks a little more washed out than mine. But let's see what else they've got going on. We'll hit next. And so in order to further increase this, they want to take this little piece and start to bring it down. And now it's starting to darken up those photos. You've got that more dramatic kind of S curve happening. And then we're going to need to lighten up the light pixels that are in here. So this is saying to drag it up and kind of bring that up a bit. Now, if you accidentally click too many times, it'll add additional anchor points in. So to get rid of those, you can actually hold your mouse button down on them and start to pull. At first, it really makes the image look weird because you can see I can like drag this thing around. It looks kind of apocalyptic. Ooh, that sky is kind of cool. And it almost has like a drawing kind of effect. So sometimes just the experimenting creates something kind of cool. But I still haven't let go of my mouse and I can just drag that off and it pops it off of the actual line. So you can see this S curve created a little bit more dramatic than mine, but it definitely made the image look much richer and has more dynamic range. And that is the curves adjustment. I personally really like curves rather than levels in making those kind of photographic adjustments. All right, go ahead and save your file and move on to the next.